I started working early this morning. We've got humidity like mid-August, not mid-October. And this is part 3 of keep planting. Perfect time for shrubs, trees, bulbs, perennials. And this was such a find. This is a Carolina allspice called Hartledge Wine. I first saw the beautiful big maroon flowers at the Pittsburgh Zoo and PPG Aquarium, and I fell in love with it, and I couldn't believe I saw this at the nursery for 15 bucks. I lost a Japanese maple that was here over the winter, and so this is the perfect plant out here. The deer won't eat it, hopefully, and it loves the shade and woodland soil, which it has. I'm happy to have it in the ground, happy to have a bargain. Let's get into the vegetable garden. We have a ton of stuff to do today. Well, we have a rabbit in here about the size of a grizzly bear. We fattened it up with everything in the garden, but 2 weeks ago we planted these 7-top turnip greens, and the rabbit's not interested in those, but we need to do some thinning. Whenever I'm planting greens nowadays, I'm always using the entire packet. I don't want another half packet, and so these thinnings are called microgreens, and they're highly nutritious and very sweet and very tender, and we need to give these greens some room to grow, and so we're going to take these, and that whole thing is going to go into the salad. And it just has this fresh, wonderful flavor. Your kids will never know it's in there. Joey, you just ate a turnip. We'll thin now, and then we'll have to thin again, I'm sure. But you won't believe how many of these little microgreens we'll get. And these things go for like $25 a pound in the strip. So look at all those little greens. All I need to do is rinse them off, and they'll be in today's salad. All right, best job is coming up next, planting garlic. Well, you know how much I love garlic. This is the start of the garlic planting season. We can start now and go all the way into November, but today is the perfect day, and filming day is the new moon. We call that the dark of the moon, and that's when you plant root crops. You have to start with the right type of garlic. I've got this from a local nursery. This is one called Chestnut Red, one that I absolutely love. You can't use the stuff out of the store. It might not be hardy, and it might be treated with something that'll stop it from sprouting. So we get our good garlic, and all we do is split it up. We will plant the biggest cloves. Bigger the clove, the bigger the head. One little clove will become a head by next year. And we're putting them in about 3 inches down, 6 inches apart in good soil. You see that good compost there? That's all there is to it. And then we're going to give it a nice blanket of straw. Next year, we get the garlic greens. When the crocuses come up, we get the scape, which is the seed head. Then we get the bulbs in July. And after July, we'll put something else in here. All right, let's get them in the ground. All right, I've got a few left over. I usually just put these kind of on the edge all together, and we'll use them for greens next year. I'm going to put some straw on here, and then we're going to go to the next job, which is planting some very special daffodils. You cannot skip this step. A nice blanket of straw can be the difference between big bulbs, little bulbs, or maybe no bulbs, depending on the winter. They're going to be happy underneath this straw, that's for sure. And right in front of this is where our daffs are going to go. So we've got our garlic, sharing room with some lilies. I have to grow the lilies inside here because the deer will get them. And now these daffodils that I'm going to plant come from Joe Hamm's Daffodil Hortus. That's a story I did earlier this year in Washington County, and these are some very rare bulbs. I only have about 3 to 4 or 5 different of each variety, and I'm going to be sure that they are labeled so I know exactly what's here. I wanted to put them in the best soil, which is on the edge of the vegetable garden, as we always say now. By the time this is done, in another 10 years, I won't have any more vegetables left. It'll be all lilies and daffodils. The daffodils, we don't have to worry about the deer. They will not touch them. And to plant bulbs, oh boy, this bulb auger, I've been using them for 30 years, and this is my favorite. We just drill our hole, drop them in about 3 times as deep as the actual bulb. Let's get to work. The labeling is going to slow everything down, but that's okay. I want to know what these are when they bloom. This one's going to have 2 flowers, 2 noses, 1, 2. If you're interested in growing something weird and different, you can actually order bulbs like I did from Joe Hamm. And you can find that information, of course, at everybodygardens.com. This is just the start of bulb planting season. I'm going to plant a lot more garlic, a lot more daffodils, and many, many other bulbs all the way up until the ground freezes. I'm excited about this bed. You're going to have your garlic, your daffodils, then your lilies. It's going to be awesome. And even though I've got all these daffodils labeled with those big green labels, I'm going to, in my garden journal, write down these names and where they are, just in case something happens over the winter where I lose these or they get knocked over or pushed out, whatever happens. Now, check me out online. That's where you can find lots of other great gardening information and become a member of my Seed of the Month Club. Until next week, I got to plant the rest of these daffodils and we might pick some peppers. We'll see. See you then.